Small business is about courage, risk-taking, independence, and we small business owners are survivors. Everybody has an idea for a business, but how do you take that idea from mind to market? This is the place to learn.
Small Business School with Hattie Bryant.
It's a new kind of school. Together we'll learn about business from the inside out, from the people who've done it. We'll meet the men and women who are today's pioneers and quiet heroes. Their lives are the textbooks. Our classroom is the world.
Small Business School is made possible by support from the United States Postal Service, delivering the promise to America's 23 million small and growing businesses. There's no wait at the post office in your own office. USPS.com is waiting for you. And by Microsoft.
We see you building a new company from an old company. We see a business full of potential. We're inspired to create software that helps you reach it.
Hi, I'm Hattie Bryant. This is a fish story that doesn't stop growing. We start on the main street of a little seaport village in Oregon, and before you know it, we'll be in the White House. We're going to discover how a fisherman's hangout has become the foundation for modern tourism in Newport, Oregon.
Moe's has kind of become its own little entity where I just feel like I'm the caretaker of a legacy.
Cindy McEntee is owner of Moe's Restaurants, the place famous for serving hot clam chowder since 1951. She has 3 locations on the Oregon coast and a Chowder-based factory. With the home office in Newport, the operation employs up to 200 during high season and generates $3.5 million in annual sales. With a group of partners, she owns an additional 3 locations. We met Cindy in the White House in June of 2001 when she was named Oregon's Small Business Person of the Year and first runner-up for the National Small Business Person of the Year Award.
The product of Moe's is just a plain and simple restaurant with simple seafood dishes that aren't complex. It's for the everyday person.
I read where a Seattle food critic called this a dive. Is that okay with you?
Well, I mean, I'm laughing all the way to the bank, I guess. Our big push this last few years has been to really focus on families. And we try to make it as special as we can for the children. You know, you eat where your children want you to eat.
You see, world's pickiest eater right here.
He eats it too.
He's eaten the chowder since he was 1 year old.
It's good stuff.
We wouldn't go anywhere but Moe's.
You wouldn't go anywhere but Moe's?
Yeah, no.
And you're from Idaho?
We're from Washington.
Oh, you're from Washington, and you're from Idaho. So miles and miles around, Moe's reputation is out there.
Oh, heavens.
Okay, what is it, sir, that you like about it?
Clam chowder. None better. None better.
So Cindy, what is in your chowder?
Well, we have here a mixture of potatoes, clams, bacon, there's some pepper from the salt and pepper, and onion. It's just a slight onion in here, and milk, whole milk.
Whole milk, not cream.
Not cream. And that is a Moe's clam chowder.
Moe's serves up 60,000 pounds of fish a year, and Cindy tries to buy as much seafood as she can from the local fishermen and oyster farmers. There was a time when she owned this oyster farm and fishing boats, but after trying to make those businesses profitable, she sold off those assets to people who focus all of their attention on fishing and farming.
Cindy, why is there a garage door in your restaurant?
Well, when I was about 15 years old, we got a phone call in the middle of the night. My grandmother lived right on the hill behind here. Something terrible has happened. You probably need to come down here. We come down to Moe's. In the middle of our restaurant is a 48 Plymouth with children in the back seat and a woman with this look on her face you wouldn't believe.
Like that?
Yeah, just like that. And she was waiting for her husband. He'd run in here to fill his thermos with coffee. They were going sports fishing down the street. and she thought she'd put the car in reverse. She put it in drive and gunned it, and bingo, bango, bongo, here we had her. When we got down here, I mean, the whole thing was so funny because there were still people in the restaurant like holding their bowls of food and their plates of food. It's like, what's going on? Anyway, this lady was beside herself. She just couldn't deal with it. I mean, oh, it was terrible. And my grandmother just put her arm around this woman and she said, listen, honey, don't worry about it. We'll just put a garage door in, and anytime you want, you can just drive right in here. So anyway, there's the door and the picture of the incident.
Okay, so let's see if this thing works. Let's see if okay. It's real. It's a real garage door.
Cindy's grandmother, Mo, opened a 24-hour diner on the waterfront in 1951. Since 1975, Cindy has been the force for growth.
When she started this restaurant, it wasn't the same type. I mean, our whole lives were different. And people, well, you know, this waterfront was full of longshoremen and fishermen, and there was no tourism, so to speak.
And it was 24 hours.
It was 24 hours. And so our focus was a little different. And, you know, you worked out of the till. If you had money in the till at the end of the night, you made money. I mean, it was different then, you know.
When did you have that aha that you had to get your handle on the financials?
I was probably 22. It was just the questions in my mind. I mean, I needed to know. And I thought it was so loosely wrapped. I mean, basically her whole management style was very loose, and it was kind of carefree, and it just didn't give me the answers I needed, you know, and without her need to know the answers, I thought, well, it's not going to disrupt anything. She can sit and do the long division. I can do these at home at night, and it won't disturb her way of doing what we do here. Every day you stand in the kitchen. I was the cook, and I stood in the kitchen, and I was, you know, I come to work at 4 o'clock in the afternoon and work till 10 o'clock at night cooking, and there's a line out the door the entire time that I'm working. And it was important to, you know, is this money going to stay with us? I mean, are we paying for the goods that we are buying? You know, are we going across the street and buying 1 can of crab for $45, or are we getting a whole case that makes it $30 a can? You know, what are we doing here?
Mo's Annex opened in 1968 because the tiny original location couldn't accommodate the customer demand.
We incorporated in 1975. And before that, it was just a sole proprietorship. Okay. And that's when that's when I became indentured in 75. She had me buy stock out of my paychecks.
Oh, okay.
And then she carried all the other stock. So that was, you know, she was just feeding me a little bit here to see how I could do it. Well, when you become a corporation, things change. And I was so happy to see that because there was a regular, you know, day that we paid bills. Okay. You know, there was accounting it every day for the money, and, you know, we don't wait till the end of the week to make the deposit. We make a deposit every day.
Right. So it was like comforting to you.
It was more secure atmosphere for sure.
I'm going to retire at Mo's. I have a 401k. I have a modest 401k. Cindy has supported me and taken care of me. I have great job security. I feel I'm a good emissary for Mo's because I feel it from the heart. I serve from the heart. I'm very successful in what I do.
We want them to want to be here, you know, and not just, this is just their job. It isn't just their job. And it's really, they're as well a caretaker of a very popular business as I am. And they become my ambassadors.
You always got to say thank you to your cook, even if it's a small thing.
We have monthly meetings where the whole staff comes. I want them all to say something. They're always like 15-minute little training sessions or a half hour sometimes. I often have a person there that maybe has a technique on customer service.
Right.
We have customer comment cards, and I bring the comment cards, good and bad, to the meeting, We make sure that the people know all the good things that were said about them if it's personal. Then there might be a comment like, you know, the food was cold, or, you know, my fish was undercooked, or my fish was overcooked, or the chowder wasn't hot, which is like a cardinal sin. Those things, we bring them up. You know, it's like, hello, the chowder wasn't hot? Can anybody explain this incident? And we have the day and the time that it all happened, so we know exactly when and where. So it's discussed as a group. And then if there's a decision to make, what should we do about this? There's like maybe 15 key personnel people, and those are the people that have worked here 10 or over years. And I let them look at what I have to deal with, and okay, you guys, it's a group decision here. It affects every one of us, so.
Do you think it's critical, that helps you, to share numbers? I mean, so that when you share numbers, people here understand you're doing this FICA match, you're putting dollars in their 401k plan, and that helps.
It does help, because they become aware, you know, and how much do dishes cost? This is how much dishes cost. When you drop that tray of dishes, this is how much it cost. Now, I took them all to Hawaii a couple years ago, and...
Wait a minute, everybody?
Everybody.
How many people?
I think there were 47 of us.
Everybody went to Hawaii?
Everybody. And we had a really great time, but one of the reasons they got to go is that we had the least amount of breakage in dishes. We had the highest, well, we had no accident reports. I mean, it was one of these incredible years. It wasn't necessarily a good business year, but it was a really good year all the way around otherwise.
It's a personal relationship. It's a, you know, a boss and employee, but it's also a friend and a personal concern with your life, your family.
We do a lot of stuff like that. We'll do they're kind of like working weekends, make arrangements for maybe 12 or 14 of them with their spouses, and we'll go to like a restaurant show.
Right.
And so they love those things as they see the new products and new things available and things that might make their job easier, like pan liners for our chowder pots. Now there's not someone scrubbing pots at 11 o'clock at night anymore. They pull those out, each pot, and throw it in the garbage, and you know, they can basically run those pots right through the dishwasher now. When I was a waitress, our menu was on the wall back here up on a blackboard, and my grandmother had a little like prefaces before you get to the menu. Hi, crowd right in, join, you know, whoever at any empty seat in here. You'll be sitting with people from all over. The service is lousy, but the food is great. I took offense to that because I worked my buns off in here, you know, and taking care of people and doing everything, you know, that their slightest whim, they would get whatever they needed, you know. But my focus was giving our customers the best service that we could possibly give them. And that all took education, there's constant training, there's all sorts, you know, there's a lot of attitude adjustments for some people that might come in here new. How do you deal with certain customers? I have given them the rein. I know that they'll take care of that customer the same way I would.
How did you get the idea for the necklace?
We had one gal who, she'd worked here for 26 years, and she's my age. She's, well, probably a couple years younger, so she's in her 40s, late 40s. And she decided she just was tired of waitressing. I thought, God, I got to do something for Renee. I really have to do something. And that's when the bowl idea came up. So I designed this little bowl, and I called a jeweler up in Glen Eden Beach. And this is the prototype.
Right.
And he put a diamond in mine because I'd been here for 30 years. And I put a diamond in hers as well because she'd been here as long as I had.
Right.
So that was kind of the beginning. We had the first two, and then I started looking at dates. I mean, it wasn't, I hadn't meant for it to be a 10-year anniversary, but it ended up being that way because I looked at how many people had worked here and devoted themselves to this place and loved it. So I was like, hey, I got to give them something. So on the 10th anniversary of everybody's employment here, they get one of these bowls.
Moe's is a national treasure. It's like a landmark or a state park or a shrine. People drive for miles to eat there. Some even told us they had flown in to eat at Moe's. Of course it's the food. Every restaurant owner will tell you their staying power rests on the quality of the food. Good service cannot make up for poor ingredients or stale bread or wilted lettuce. But it is more than chowder. Now it is a story to tell. Cindy loved her grandmother and what she stood for, and Cindy says she is now the caretaker of a legacy. Okay, but Cindy has been part of this story for 40 of the 50 years. And Cindy knows that these stories about her grandmother capture a bigger truth. We all want to be outrageous. We all want to be givers. We all want to embrace the world in its fullness. These stories about grandmother will always abide. But with grandmother alone, the business was barely profitable. Let's analyze what's going on. When Cindy was 21 years old, she asked her grandmother if she knew how much they were paying for clams. Mo said she didn't know. At that point, Cindy began installing accounting and food preparation systems. Moe's never made much profit before Cindy started her sharp pencil techniques. At the same time Cindy was working to improve the internal processes, she was also telling stories. Stories about how Moe gave plenty of fishermen food even when they couldn't pay, and about how the lady who drove her car right into the restaurant stayed to eat. The storytelling builds the legacy. Storytelling makes us bigger than life. Try it yourself. Formulate your stories, publish them on your website, make them part of your marketing effort. Do this, and 30 years from now, you will be the caretaker of a legacy. To read the entire script of this program, go to smallbusinessschool.org. This is the famous Yaquina Head Lighthouse, Newport's pride. Oregon's 400 miles of beaches attract thousands of tourists to the coast every year. But for Cindy and her husband Bruce, this is home. Married since 1971, the two walk the beach every day. Bruce has his own construction company, and their two children work for Cindy. We went to a stunning spot to meet their daughter, Gabriel, who runs the sweetest Moe's at Otter Rock, which opened in 1972.
When I first started working at Moe's, I was 12 years old.
And what were you doing?
I was a dishwasher. That was the time before we had electric dishwasher. We had 3 sinks, soapy water, clear water, and sanitizing water. And I stood there all day long, washing dishes. 1, 2, 3. And I went to college at the University of Oregon, and I do not have a degree in business, although everybody asks. That must be what my degree is, but I have a degree in sociology and a minor in women's studies.
Do you work with Bruce? Really good.
This is my family business. I feel strongly about participating in that, and as a waitress, I feel like I'm really connected to our customers, and I can hear straight away from them, how they're feeling about, the environment they're eating in, what food they're eating. And it's just the best connection in my point of view to keep connected to the public, which is the only way we can sort of keep on top of our game as a restaurant.
Okay, thanks a bunch.
You bet. Have a nice day.
And I gotta tell you, the tips are great.
We have Sunday dinner, all of us. And do we talk about business? We never talk about business at Sunday dinner. Moe's is not part of our, it doesn't enter there. This is like the no-mo zone. And then on Monday morning, we're all show up at the office. It's head on as usual, and there's personality sometimes, siblings don't work together well.
Right.
I think counseling, family business counseling is probably imperative. It is. And to seek it. Make sure you seek it out, because it's not going to come to you. You find it and do it. There's so many sad stories,
Cindy's son Dylan runs the Chowder Base factory, but he didn't start at the top.
I peeled potatoes for the Chowder factory when it was on the second floor of the original Moe's, and I think I still have scars on my hands to prove it. We had hand-peeled potatoes, large 100-pound bags of potatoes, My second job was picking blackberries. But my first real job that I actually earned a paycheck was washing dishes at Moe's West. And when my grandmother ran that. My dishpan hands every night. I had to quit playing baseball because my grandma said, "You need to be washing dishes." I got 2 bachelor's degrees and now I'm just trying to figure out how to use them. So. When I graduated from the University of Utah and I had a degree in hospitality management and a minor in business, I thought, well, this will be great. I've now have the tools to go home and work with my mom's company. And I thought, well, I'm not ready to do that yet. I had 2 little kids and I'd been married for a few years. So I went back to school, went to Westminster College and got a degree in finance with a minor in economics. Then I didn't want to get a job with a big company. So I went for the biggest company. I went to General Electric and I got a job at GE. And I worked for their corporate card services. And I did that for about a year and I realized there's a lot of corporate bureaucracy. Even though GE is one of those companies that you can really move around and really give your ideas, I thought, it's not quite what I grew up with. I'm a small town guy and this is a big company. And so I said, no, I want to move back. Called my mom. I said, you know, we're going to move back to Newport. I don't know what I'm going to do, but I'm going to figure it out. I'm pretty resourceful. And she called me about a month later and said, I have a manager leaving. Are you interested in a job working in the Chowder factory? I said, sold. You got a new manager.
Dylan and his team are using equipment and technology to improve productivity and to lighten the load for workers. Their daily product is served in all 6 Moe's locations, a few other restaurants, and frozen for sale in grocery stores.
This is our newest addition to our chowder factory. But we can do now with 3 people twice as much chowder with this machine.
As you did with 7 people?
Yes.
Okay.
It means revenue to me. $70,000 worth of awesome technology that I hope wasn't one of my big mistakes.
What do you think your mom does that makes her so good at running a company?
She gives her managers all the tools they need to work and manage their department. I really respect her for how she's run this company, and I didn't get a feeling for that until I worked for General Electric.
When Cindy is not working on her business, she works on the business of making Newport a destination. Tourism has quadrupled in the last 10 years, and business leaders are working to continue the trend. Cindy has been instrumental in attracting artists to create more than a dozen murals, including this Wyland.
It's exciting when you can do something, when you impact a neighborhood. When we have our 50th anniversary, which we did this year, we decided to thank the community. And so we had decided that 50% of every ticket, for every table of people, 50% of their ticket cost would go to whatever little community charity they wanted. And we did that one whole day in all 6 of our restaurants. So each community had its own, you know, specific little.
Did you add up at the end of the day how much money you guys gave away?
Yeah, it was about $18,000. It worked really well. I think that most of the people couldn't believe it because it was like, you mean 50% of your profit? No, if you eat $10 worth of food here, $5 is going wherever you want it, okay? I don't think people really believed that was happening until the checks started going out. And so we're going to do it again next year.
So what does it take? What does it take inside?
I think it takes tenacity and drive. You really got to have a drive. If you don't have the drive or the passion to make it work right, I don't think it's going to work. People know when you like and care about your business. People know. Your customers know.
Okay. Well, what about the future?
The future's working upstairs right now and across the street right now. My children have joined this company, and hopefully they're determined to they've made lots of changes. I mean, I took my grandmother to the calculator, and they have taken me to the web. We are doing it right. We're trying.
You're doing it right.
Of course you need excellent accounting and efficient processes, but just like Cindy, you can tell your stories. Do this, and 30 years from now, you will be the caretaker of a legacy. For the 15 million of you out there who run a one-person company, you can use one of Cindy's marketing ideas. She's everywhere. She shows up at the Chamber of Commerce, the Race for the Cure, the pancake breakfast fundraiser for the local elementary school. As a volunteer, you can network, and even better, when the list of volunteers is published, nobody knows if your company has 1 person or 100.
Small Business School is made possible by support from the United States Postal Service, delivering the promise to America's 23 million small and growing businesses. There's no wait at the post office in your own office. USPS.com is waiting for you. And by Microsoft.
We see you building a new company from an old company. We see a business full of potential. We're inspired to create software that helps you reach it.
If you want to learn more about starting, running, and growing a business, come to our website, smallbusinessschool.org. There's streaming video and interactive study guides. The only way we can compete with big business is to be faster, smarter, and better. We are the engine of the American economy. We create the jobs. Small business is about big commitment. It's about sacrifice and struggle. But we do it because we say, if I don't do this, my life won't be complete.